Hello, Professor Dragone. Uh, this is my final project, athletic clothing. I'd like to apologize. I may sound a little off. I've been battling a viral infection for the past couple days. I'm getting over it, but not all the way there yet. So, background in history. Obviously, clothing around since the dawn of time, dating back to when they had sashes of leaves to cover up genitals, and it has continued to change drastically over time. Athletic wear, or athleisure, was used as slang as early as 1979, but was officially added to the dictionary in 2016. In the 1870s, garments were tailored for active women who rode horses, played tennis, and went yachting. Athletic wear became popularized in the 1980s by the growth of brands such as Nike and Adidas. Through many trends and adaptations, athletic wear has been transformed into what we know today. Concentration ratio. When it comes to the industry of athletic wear, Nike continues to dominate that industry with a market share of approximately 44%, and Adidas, who's been runner-up but also a key component, is next highest with market share of 20%. And with simple math, those two combine for a market share of 64%, which is quite drastic. There are multiple different types of industry types. One of these being perfect competition. It's a market structure where numerous buyers and sellers engage in the transactions of identical products, resulting in no singular participant influencing the market price. An example of this in society is supermarkets, as you can tell. Another one is monopolistic competition. An example of this in society would be restaurants, and it's the market structure characterized by numerous sellers offering differentiated products, unlike perfect competition where the products are the same. This allows for some influence due to product distinctions. Oligopoly is the third industry type. It's where there's a few number of large firms that dominate the industry, and this leads to interdependence and strategic interactions in decision making, but also it leads to a lot of limited competition. And an example of this in society would be airlines. Monopoly is the fourth and final industry type, and it is where there's one primary industry behind everything that they dictate their own rules. So where single seller producer controls the entire supply. And an example, even though they're very uncommon, is one of the closest things we can have in today's society is local telephone service companies. So after reviewing all of the types of industries, it is evident that the athletic clothing industry falls under the topic of oligopolies. And this is clear because a few individual firms dominate the competition, such as Nike, Adidas, even Puma. And there's also limited competition. A rule of thumb in regards to oligopolies is if the market share is over 60% for the large firms. And if you remember, the market share, the way it was divided, between just Adidas and Nike, they had a market share of 64% over that 60% threshold, where it's safe to assume there's an oligopoly. Prices and output. How do the athletic clothing, how do they decide factors in output? What factors go into that? Mutual interdependence. These top brands closely monitor each other's actions, and they make decisions based off of each other's actions. And what is what is best for them, which is very strategic and is also very important in their decision making. So if Adidas raises their prices, Nike can match that, or they can strategically lower their prices to be a cheaper option to attract more buyers. Brand differentiation is another factor that determines prices and output, and what they want to do is create a unique brand image, and these pricing strategies may be influenced by the perceived value of their brands. More factors in determining price and output. Non-price competition. They will compete. These top brands compete in not only non-price factors, but what they'll do is they'll compete in non-price factors such as product innovation, marketing, and endorsements. Strategic alliances is another factor, and this occurs when these top brands work together to maximize results. And finally, global market dynamics, and just keeping up with the trends across the globe, because these brands and this industry is worldwide. Seeing what's in, what's out, what's trending at the moment, and basing their prices off of that is very effective. Barriers to entry. Because this is an oligopoly, there are in fact multiple barriers to entry, and those barriers to entry are brand power. Established brands such as Nike and Adidas have strong global recognition and consumer loyalty. Therefore, it makes new brands on the scene harder to attract customers because they already know and recognize these big brands and know that they're reliable. Economies of scale. Large athletic companies benefit from economies of scale in manufacturing, distribution, and marketing. They can produce at lower costs per unit, making it challenging for smaller entrants to compete on cost effectiveness. Because they're big brands and they have reliable and trusted funding and everything going up into making these items, it's harder for small brands that don't have that backing to compete. Product differentiation, as mentioned previously, product differentiation needs to come up with a new product, and that is because this brand is so, despite being very wide in the possibilities, brands like Nike and Adidas have pretty much all aspects of athletic wear covered. So coming up with new ideas and differentiation within the products would make other brands stand out, but because there's not much of an open window for that, it is hard for new brands. Supply chain control is another, and when you have a well-established brand, supply chain management and control is something that you obtain, but that is a crucial step that is harder to get under wraps when you're just starting out. Sponsorships, that is, these brands are newer brands looking to join. It is much harder to get sponsorships, get big name guys, get people to represent the brand, because it's very small, and oftentimes a lot of the big names sign with the big name companies. So it is difficult to get to that point with larger scale celebrities or athletes or anyone that would be sponsored. Relationships with retail. This falls back on the already existing idea that having a big brand means that every step along the way in production is more trusted and is better funded and more backing. But having relations with the retailers that you go through is very important, and that's just a hard step as an up and coming brand. Barriers to distribution. Established brands may have exclusive distribution agreements or control significant portions of retail space, limiting the opportunities for new entrants to reach consumers effectively. That is it. And then finally, capital requirements. Capital requirements are enforced by the government, and basically it means that there needs to be a certain amount of profit made, and that overarching quota that must be reached can be very overwhelming and can steer new brands away from joining the industry because of that. So, ways to promote more competition: regulatory measures, having government-induced regulations that promote fair competition are going to be very helpful for promoting that competition. Innovation, providing incentives. Incentives is a key form of motivation, and by incentivizing these brands to come up with something new and something different will, especially in the head-to-head format, or just will promote a lot of competition. Two more ways: market access initiatives. So by doing this, essentially would allow for bigger firms, bigger groups to sort of pick up a smaller up-and-coming brand and bring them to the public, bring them to more popularity. This will allow for more brands in the industry and naturally more competition. And finally, consumer awareness. Increasing this awareness increasing awareness about alternative athletic wear brands can encourage consumers to explore different options. Marketing campaigns and initiatives that highlight emerging brands can contribute to breaking the dominance of established players. By doing this, this allows for consumers to be aware of these smaller brands, and therefore allowing consumers to be informed on all brands on a closer scale, not quite equally. This allows for the consumer to decide what they want, which will naturally lead to more competition. All right, thank you very much. I apologize about my voice. I managed to get through it for the most part, but this is my final presentation on the athletic wear industry. Thank you.